What are we doing? I'm curious.
Coming to you live from the subarctic. It's 8 something in the morning, 8:05, I think. And it is pitch black outside because that's just how it is up here now, as opposed to the 3 a.m. Full daylight, which is how it is up here also, just at a different time because the fourth dimension.
Really?
What about you, Michael? Where do we find you today?
I am near Los Angeles. I am a resident over here. I just got back from visiting with my parents, or my dad, so much, and my brother and his spouse, Carlos. And that was, we went out on his, I guess they called it a weekender. It's like a 25-foot long, boat with choppy waves, and saw whales. And we ended up in a pod of about 1,000 dolphins.
Cool.
I mean, it was quite. But by the time we got home last night, 9 o'clock was just too late for me. I had to go to sleep.
Okay.
I was wasted. So got up early this morning.
Yep. So you drove across LA this morning?
Yes, drove across LA. Good thing you left me a message about it because I had forgotten what the hell I was doing this morning. I was out of it. And then
it's easy to not remember what day of the week it is.
Yeah. So hopefully Los Angeles doesn't have any ticket cameras that are on the bottom of bridges. Otherwise, I got away. Because if they do, well, then I can't really say anything for a few days to find out if I get one of those tickets in the mail.
Yeah. Love note, we call them.
Yes. I love
they love your money.
Yes. There's only 1 mile an hour over the speed limit. That's all.
That's it. All right. I put on the list for Backlist today, but you just came back from Wienertown.
I did not. I came back from Frankfurt, Germany. That's not the same.
Yeah,
that's no matter how you hold your head.
Oh, it is. It is.
Fake. No, the healthy disrespect that the Frankfurters have for how bad all the steak in the world is for you, I appreciate uncommentally. I admire them. A steakhouse 2 or 3 times every corner was fantastic. So,
yeah.
The cost of Coke, on the other hand, the cola, not the white stuff, was expensive. Oops.
Yep. Cutting the habit just for your health and budget.
Yes.
But the Frankfurt for the average Joe, because I personally don't see it even being viable for somebody like me. I mean, because I have a worldwide presence, but only through LMVPN. And me personally, as an author, and I write books and I publish books, and I do really well in the U.S. and do okay in Australia and the U.K. But for somebody like me, I don't see going to Frankfurt. What about other folks?
I undertook LMVPN to go to the different conventions because I knew we were going to become a publishing company, larger, not just a single individual. I think that unless you're incredibly prolific as an individual, where you're going to have a lot of content that you need to do this, it'd be really hard to justify. The relationships that we're creating there include, with software companies, with audio companies, with just IP and different things, because we're looking at purchasing IP from different languages, getting them translated into English. We're talking with our German translator, Jens, who handles LMBP in German, and he's looking at software and things that are necessary. We're meeting with companies. We met with Publish Drive. We met with Dreamscape. We met with Publishers Weekly. So, there's a lot of opportunity for us to travel to Germany. So we meet with companies who are based here in the United States. The irony doesn't escape me. And, and as well as others, I mean, German and English and whoever. I know that Judith talked to companies based out of India, I believe. We touched base with Chinese, even though we were in Beijing just a little while ago, because it helps create relationships and they see that you're a player across the world. That was, my purpose. But for, if I was just single, only publishing my own stuff, I don't think I'd undertake the expense. I would create the relationships and make things happen otherwise.
And we are coming to London Book Fair, and you got a healthy presence of indies and single author indies coming to London Book Fair.
Yeah, that's London so far. has become a little bit different. The experience at BEA was underwhelming, to say the least, and coming, from London was overwhelming almost. You get the opportunity as an indie to go to the indie area and really connect in with what's going on there, whether it's Amazon or whatever, and that's Amazon KDP upstairs. There's two halls that are handled with 2 floors each, I believe. And then you can go downstairs and you go to the much more traditional book conference, handled in English. Like, we happened a couple of times to go to talks where the title was in English, but the talk was actually in German. So you only got a couple of minutes before you're like, nah, it can't help me.
Yeah.
So they tell you that it's in German. I just didn't look. So, but certainly at the London Book Fair, then the expectation is almost all the talks are going to be in English.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and that's we'll see. And BEA is Book Expo America for those folks not aware. It's in New York City, which of course that's an instant bar to me ever going there. Just like anything in LA, but it's Woodland Hills. It's you fly into Burbank. Yeah, okay. Yeah, not going back there either.
East Coast, West Coast for you?
Yeah. I'm not. East Coast, I'm okay. Myrtle Beach, is a cool place. Lots of restaurants, nice beach, good people. My sister has a house there, so
okay.
That's all cool. But yeah, not New York City, not LA. There's just so many, or Chicago. I grew up too close to Chicago. Too many people. Atlanta for Dragon Con. Too many people.
Okay.
Well, when we get nominated for another award, hey, okay, well maybe I'll go. I'll go. I do have that time.
I'll never do it. Ooh, Dragon Award.
Oh, a Dragon Award. Oh yeah, I got to share my. Here's my. I have my heart monitor. That's what it looks like.
Excellent.
See, it's that simple. It's that little piece. That. So I will be wearing this for the show, for Vegas. I've got another 25 days left of this thing. I get to rip it off today and go and replace it. It's waterproof, so I do get to take a shower. I mean, it's not like the other one. But anyway,
too much information, Mr. Martelle.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, people care about me.
I see. As we
unlike my other
right,
unlike the other person. Oh, the other person. But that's it. I have a heart monitor on. It's like a corkscrew device that they dig into your in between your rib cage and go right into your heart.
No, wait, hold on. Now this is so it's not just grabbing electrode whatever information on your skin. It's in your heart.
No, I'm kidding about that part. It's actually just a sticky that goes on top. It sounds much more impressive if you use the term corkscrew.
Well, yes, it did. And I'm thinking like back on the movie Dune, where the guy had these little plugs in the heart and they rip them out. Plug. I'm like,
Yeah.
Oh, good to see you, Martelle. Rip.
Plug. Yeah. So today's episode, now that we're finally going to get to it, Backlist. I know I posted recently on like my free trader and how that has done and how it's energized. And I published it first in 2016 with some bad covers, but that's the new covers are getting made. And when I had the new covers made, and overall that series made like 16,000 that first year. It's like, hey, okay, that series alone made for a pretty good year. But then the next year it made 20,000, and I put almost nothing into advertising because the new series is completely different. I started bringing in readers because of the traction that we got with the Terry Henry Walton Chronicles. And so those readers would read that and say, hey, I like the style. Let me go read Craig's other books. So that year was 20,000. And then 2018, I added 3 new volumes to the series just because I had promised readers and I didn't do it in 2017. And I think I made like $12,000. With some spend, and this year I'm on track to make over 20,000. So the 4th year that those books have been published is going to be the most lucrative year yet. Now I'm spending more on advertising this year, but these are books that I haven't put any effort into for a good year and a half, and the majority effort was 4 years ago. So all of that to say that Backlist can always, and that's the benefit of IP. I was talking to somebody this morning about your books. It's like stocks. You invest in a stock, that's your book. Some will continue to appreciate, then split and keep appreciating, and some stocks will just peter along and then fail. So that's it. You have to look at it. Do you have a winner or not? It's very much like the stock market without the guesswork, and because you'll understand if you find traction with your book. That's the minimum viable product that Michael talks about. And as you have traction on those books, so they might taper off in interest this year, but if they were good once, they will always be good. And this is an important point, and they will always be able to earn you money. So that's why copyright, all that good stuff, 70 years plus after you die. I mean, it is a long-term prospect. So you didn't make $100,000 on your one novel this year. Guess what? That's 99.99% of every successful author, not just any author. So just understand that this is a long-term proposition. You find that traction, you can find some readership, and they like your book. And there it is, Backlist. And other books can add to that as well.
So what do you say to a person who says, let's say they do 2 books a year? So for them to have a backlist is going to be a 5 to 10 year effort. Well,
then you would be just like John Grisham, who only published a book a year for the first, 30 years of his career.
Okay.
But this is because he wrote like 1,000 words a day. That was his goal. Just don't write 1,000 words a day. And it started off actually 100 words a day. So 2 books a year, that is almost every single traditionally published author that you see on bookshelves right now. But they've done 2 a year for every year for 30, 40 years. They've been writing, and so you build up backlist over time. So if you publish 1 or 2 books a year, just you have to spend more time advertising and marketing. If you're publishing more often, then that exposure and that continual push from Amazon, hey, new release from Craig Martelle, new release from Michael Anderle, which you get 5 to 10 of those a week. But that tells you, hey, there's a new release, and it puts Michael Anderle's name. And this is why I think it was very important when I first started that I wanted to be my own brand, like Andre Norton or Robert Heinlein, not the one series of 100 books. So, because I always think, hey, it's Sherlock Holmes. No, it's A. Conan Doyle. But he's known because of this one series that he's known for. I wanted to be me. So always do that as my brand. And my backlist, okay, hey, I have books in a number of different series, but still I wanted to be the brand. And I think if you do 1 or 2 books a year, then you are the brand. So you need to keep your name somewhat viable, and you do that through marketing and advertising. So you have to spend a little more time on that with fewer books.
So we have both met individuals whose parents had books. So you can become the executor or the publisher, if you will, of a backlist of someone else. So that's another viable. You can, so there's different ways to accomplish creating a backlist and whether or not it's fast. I mean, when you do collaborations, you now have a backlist because you're assigned to that book, and now that becomes part of your backlist. So there's different be aware of that.
Oh, indeed. And that was, I'm sorry you're breaking up, and that's probably my end. I'm sure my internet's slow. You talked about collaborations and other things. In the Expanding Universe anthologies, I put the paperbacks in perpetuity just because paperbacks are not exclusive, and we did the ebook rights. We dropped those off after 6 months. So by keeping the paperbacks in perpetuity, then the authors always have those links to other authors or to the book itself. So their Amazon author page at least can populate, and people can then buy the book if they want to, or at least see that the author is established. So you can have 2 or 3 publications that may only be in paperback now because you didn't publish them as a separate short story or whatever, which you can do with those anthologies. But that's one of the things I do just to make sure that people maintain their visibility and can build what looks like a backlist.
Actually, that brings me up, or is an important point. Whenever I first started, I would look at my page, and if I had 1 or 2 books, that up there, Amazon, at least historically, has shown like 5 books, maybe 6. And that was your backlist. Once you hit 6, it doesn't matter if you have 7 or 17 or 27, because all they can see is 6. So if you want, and I wanted to grow that. I wanted to look like I was an author with plenty of books. And so I wrote, one of the reasons I wrote really hard was to get that. But it doesn't matter if you have a book that's, a little bitty short story that's got 8,000 words and a good cover, that's going to show up. So you have tactical ways that you can create a backlist, and it might be creating 3 20,000-word shorter stories. What are those, novellas?
Yeah.
And, take up 3 slots.
Exactly. That was I think that's a laudable goal. You look at those 5 or 6. So you're really shooting for 5 or 6 publications, and those could be in a short story anthology, a collection, and there you go. It's all populated, so it looks the exact same as mine or Michael's. And I have, if you go to my Amazon author page, I think I have 13 pages of publications. And there's a fair number of anthologies and short stories as part of that, but you're populating those 6.
Yeah. I mean, whale readers, which is what I ended up basing my career on, individuals willing to read a lot of books. It is very much, if I were to go to a page and I only see 1 or 2, I'm not really going to get that involved with the author, because I'm not sure how long it's going to take for them to get me 3 or 4, which is the whale reader. I'm not that interested unless that is a really long book.
Yeah.
If it's a really long book, well, that would be the only caveat to have me go back and look and say, okay, this is going to give me 6, 7, 8, 9 hours of reading.
Yeah. And somebody asked a question, right to trend as opposed to right to market. There's some people use current wording and stuff that's sexy and popular right now that may fall out of vogue and come back. But still, so writing to trend, I would say one word: bell bottoms.
What about them? I hesitate to ask.
They're back.
They come back. Trends come back. Writing to market is a little bit different situation than writing to trend. Writing to trend would be similar to vampires are always marketable. Writing about space vampires might be a trend, like it became hot. So, or even writing to a normal scary vampire might go out of favor toward the nice sparkly vampires, but vampires themselves will always be something people are interested in. So you got your trend, you got your market, you have your tactics, you have your strategy. And, just looking at those, writing to market is broader than writing to a trend. And, Academy, let's talk. So academies have always been around. You can go like decades and decades and decades to see that Academy stories have always been with us. But right now, it's very much a trend to write academies. It's blown up in the last 9 months or whatever. And it's very trendy to write them. Now, that trend is going to go away at some point, and it's not going to be as popular, but academies themselves will always be marketable. So, hope that helps.
Oh, you bet. That's because British boarding schools, those people have been, for centuries, have been getting some incredible stories out of those places.
Yes.
Because even Charles... Yeah, like Charles Dickens. I think he was tainted for life because of boarding school. The other backlist, like licensing. If you just want to move up into the publishing ranks, do you want to talk about that at all, Michael?
Yeah. So let's think about it. Well, there's a couple. One other thing I wanted to touch on was omnibus or box sets. We've made in LMBPN, we've done very well by taking all of our backlist and pulling them together and then publishing them. Some of them tend to always make their marketing money back. Some of them, however, became runaway hits. And one of our biggest ones this year was a box set of a series that came out a year plus earlier and ended up selling, I don't know, $30,000, $40,000 in 6 months. And this is something that, to your point, we repackaged. and some algorithms hit.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Over.
I was going to repackage, and part of it was the remarketing and retargeting, because targeting is the key to all marketing. Marketing genre equals marketing. Here was the genre. Here's a complete package. Here's a new marketing campaign which kicked off pretty robustly. I think you dumped $1,500 in a kickoff campaign.
Well,
$1,000.
What we normally do is that we have a list of emails, and if you come to 20 Books, look up Jennifer Hendricks. I'm sure she'll appreciate me mentioning this. But she has a list of emails, newsletters that have been worthwhile for us to do it. And a big chunk of those are actually from Written Word Media and Farrell Vernon, who is part of Written Word. They're having 1 or 2 people show up, Craig? 2. Okay, so 2 individuals from Written Word Media are going to come, and I know that they're some of the foundation that we use, and then others as well. And so we tend, I think it's closer to $700 than $500 to do a major email newsletter blitz. And then, of course, if it catches, we certainly support it with a lot of money daily to keep it going.
In Amazon ads?
Yes, predominantly Amazon. Some Facebook, but predominantly Amazon.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's you got to get that kick, you get that initial surge, and then you've got to support it on the back end. So that's I got to probably. It's what I know and what has worked for me. And I've thrown a lot of money at Facebook ads and Amazon ads, and we didn't get that traction. But I take that back to targeting, that I mistargeted. And Metal Legion, that's now in a couple days that kicks off another. On the 28th, I think we kick off a big marketing campaign. I know we do. I bought a bunch of promotions and stuff, and was working a swap this morning. But that's always there. That series has been around for over a year now. So getting that back in front of people. So at this point, it's just, I invest a little money. It's almost a done deal that I'm going to get my money back. That's easy. But does it get the traction to then make the money that we really want it to make and keep earning out for us? Keep earning for us. This is already almost earned out of costs. So will it keep going? I mean, especially once we add the 8th book in the series and finish all of the audio and be able to push that too. So
you bring up good points, and we'll do it with that as well. So the audio aspect of it, if you have a backlist and you don't do the audio yourself, well, then look to see who else you can sell your IP, your audio rights to, so that they can produce it. So once again, we're thankful that Tantor, Podium, perhaps potentially Dreamscape, and other audio people will be at 20 Books. Mm-hmm. So if you're interested in audio, make sure you talk to these people, find out more, see if there's an opportunity. Go ahead.
Find a Way Voices will be there. And the big coup is the general manager for ACX will be there. He was the one who started it. And the head of Audible is going to be there as well. So those 2 guys who are running that program for Amazon, and no, it's not the biggest at 40% of the market compared to 85% ebook. Still, they're heavy hitters. They know the market, and those are guys that you want to talk to, especially if you are a player like Michael Anderle.
I should get on there. I should get on anyway. So, but just the demarcation originally, though. So if you look at the Tantor, Podium, Dreamscape, those are individuals who are going to, and even to a point Audible, they're going to acquire your rights and do production. If you look at Find a Way Voices, ACX, those are the companies that you're going to be able to publish your own efforts through.
Yeah.
And then so, you have Find a Way and Find a Way Voices. One's a publisher, one allows you to connect in and find the talent to implement them. So talk to them, find out what your opportunities are. And these are all new products that you get to do, new revenue streams that you'll be able to do because you have a backlist, and you'll be able to use them over time. And then we're going to talk about translation, because each one costs more, right? So creating your book, unless you go hog wild on your cover, is not the most expensive aspect. Editing, you can get that at a fair rate, and you do need to the most part. You don't have to. Everything's a hashtag probably. But then you look at it and go, okay, audio seems to be the next step. The average that we've been hearing people say is they'll get their money back in 18 months. After that, it's profitable, which is great. we tend to like our wish. And then you have the situation of translations. And if you listen to Joanna Penn, you'll find out that there's other opportunities to do it, but usually the translations are expensive. And one facet that we as English speakers don't think about is how do you actually support new fans in a foreign language when you don't speak it?
Yeah.
So there's that extra aspect of it that you need to probably hashtag talk to somebody and see if they're going to help you market in that language. And so that's what we've done at LMBP in German is we have a collaborator who handles all of that for our translated items.
You have a good fan base from Germany and German-speaking markets who read all the books in English.
Yes,
and so
corrected me on my German.
So you almost have a German street team, which I think they've all jumped on board and are helping to promote that. And so, how are your German sales doing? Good.
We just released. We had the background information is the lady who's translating the Arthurian Gambit lives in Spain, and she went through one of these tidal waves that just wiped out a big chunk of the city over there. So she was offline for a while. So there was a time between 11 and 12, but it just released a couple of days ago. It hit, I think, in the 200s, top of German store. So nice. It's still doing very well.
Good. And you continue, advertising efforts are all on number one?
Yes, all the advertising efforts are on number one. It is challenging to advertise. You know, Amazon just opened advertising in Germany just a week and a half. Yeah. So for us, for over a year, we've been advertising Facebook. That was really our only way to maximize our advertising spend. And then, of course, you have to create ads that are in German. Yeah. So I wouldn't suggest using Google Translate to make those ads. You will make a mistake. Yeah.
No, but you've surrounded yourself with good people. I think you've set up a business in Germany, right? A GmbH.
No, actually, we have not yet. We did speak to a lawyer while we're in Frankfurt to find out if we needed to, and the answer is no. You don't need to. But we have 3 or 4 questions outstanding with that lawyer. That we had originally met in Frankfurt. So we went through the business area, met him for 2 years, and then hired him for a couple of hours of discussion, plus some post-meeting discussion related to what do we need to do to make sure, because we're working with a German citizen, to make sure that we're above board in all things. We do seem to be completely above board, but we have a couple of clarifying questions that we have outstanding.
Okay.
And GmbHs, by the way, are like you have to start with $25,000.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like a C corp in the United States, except more involved.
Yeah. Yeah. So the interesting thing that he did say, though, is that when you create the GmbH, you have to have the €25,000. It doesn't necessarily mean that 6 weeks later you still have that €25,000 in the bank because you can use it.
Nice.
But you did at one moment have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, somebody asked a question. What about newsletters for fans of a different language?
Well, good point, right? I don't know that we've ever looked at news. Like, I don't know if they're asking about creating newsletters or buying ads in newsletters in foreign languages. I don't know that we've ever. I need to ask Jens. That's a good question. Like, is he aware of
.de email addresses? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, Jens has an email address or an email list. So Jens is creating the German email and getting things because we have a German Facebook group where they speak Sprechen Deutsch. Yep. So we have all of those things, but once again, it's because of our collaborative partner that we're doing this stuff, not because Michael Anderle, even though my last name is German, I don't speak a lick of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Because that goes for any language, whether it's French, Spanish, Chinese, doesn't matter. Having a champion who is native, not just fluent is cool, but native is better, just to make sure you always get things right and you're up with the latest trends on which words to use and language and stuff like that to make sure that your message is resonating well. So this is a fairly significant partnership in that you're putting a lot of trust in your brand in another individual.
Yeah, this is true. We have, speaking of a champion, we also have connection because we have some Spanish stuff. And so we have hired an individual out of, I don't think it's Brazil, I think it's Argentina. I don't remember. where Guillermo's from. Judith actually is the one who works with him all of the time. But we do have, another individual that we work with out of another foreign country for our Spanish efforts. Because
But
even though I'm like,
but you have your wife to double check as she's a native speaker. So
yeah. So she speaks 4 languages, 3 more than me, and so.
You speak the language of love, though, man.
Yeah, I'm not even going to do that because it'll get back to Judith. Well, I need to be a chef on South Park. Hey.
A succubus. Yeah.
but those are different things, and we're all learning this, right? So I see that there will be a lot of publishers. This tactical stuff that we're doing right now is being used all over the world, and it's going to become more prevalent. And we're going to have to start looking at what happens, when people rip you off.
Yeah.
Because going to foreign countries and doing any sort of legal stuff is not the best for companies who have to deal with it. Because you might. Part of the discussion was like, what happens when a German company gets involved with a French company, and then something happens in a subsidiary? Even though you're supposed to be able to sue them, the courts can hold it up for years and years. It's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. So did you license foreign rights, or do you maintain? Because you have people.
Right, because we created the collaboration that we did, we have people, so to speak, and you will have to pay attention. German laws on translations can be very unique. There was one translator, even though they signed, this is the story is the way I heard it, even though they signed something that said, they give up their rights to the translation or something, that particular book became very famous, got made into a movie, and so the translator went back and sued and got their rights to say that, they get a portion. So you have to be very careful how you hold the rules.
Yeah. Okay. Because I know Judith is going to run the foreign rights conversation, and that's not going to be recorded because it's in Pioneer, the only room that we could get. So I know a lot of people signed up for that, and I figure a lot of people will get nothing from that. And I don't want too many people in that room getting distracted and stuff regarding the foreign rights. So what would you recommend in regards to, do you get an agent? Do you take it on yourself? What do you do?
So there are a few different things. We're doing something with Alliance of Independent Authors related to foreign rights. And we're going to be doing our second video, I think this coming Wednesday with them. And that's to help people get prepared if they want to do anything with foreign rights for London, which once again is the one that seems to be the preeminent indie focused major convention. And so there's that, and there's a whole book and everything else on it. The issue, we've had someone from Italy contact us. They read one of our Arthurian Gambit side Age of Magic books, and they liked it and reached out to us and said, hey, we'd like to get the rights. That was Italy. It was fantastic. And then we've been working, we have 2 books, yours and one set of ours and one set of mine that are over in Chinese agents. And then we have another one that's being looked at for some other stuff I can't quite go into yet. The announcement's not there. But it is hard to do from a time standpoint. What is your mountain? If your mountain's like mine, well, it would mean more for me to put out the next book than it would be to try to get the next translation. That's why we built an agency inside of LMBPN. That was my whole goal when trying to get Judith to join the company in the first place, is I knew she, 1, knew people around the world, 2, traveled around the world, 3, understood the business of going around the world, so we could build our own agency. It's why 2.5 years ago or so, there was a big push to go with a particular agent amongst indies, and I chose not to. We looked at it, we talked to them, and it's like, all the money was going to come to them, and then they were going to break it out to us, and we're like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. So if you're much more of a single person shop, I can absolutely see doing it. You can use something like PubMatch if you want to create your little catalogs, because there's some things that you need to do there to at least allow people to see what it is. There are additional software programs to try to see what you have available, but frankly, all you really need to do is have maybe a rights on your a rights menu. The heck? I have no idea. Anyway, I apologize for that. That was behind the fiction. I set it to download and start talking yesterday, like at 6 p.m. and forgot to turn it off, and it just now goes, oh, here you go.
It's downloaded and you're good
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah, and it's a 10-minute show. It's not like it really is a lot of data. I have no idea why that went off. But going back to the agent part of it, put a rights menu choice on there. Tell people how to contact, who to contact, whether or not you're interested in what rights, so that they can easily find it on the cover page, the title page where you list all of this information. Mention rights are available at, blah, blah, blah.com/rights, and allow people to find it. So I encourage you to do that at least.
Okay, cool. But foreign rights, that's a fairly big step, and I think one of the issues you ran across in Frankfurt was nobody was willing to talk to you unless you could show that a book had 10,000 sales.
Yeah, our first year, Judith had read Orna's book and talked about this catalog type sheet. There's actually a name for it. And so she built a couple of them and had a graphics person show it. And so when we're going and talking to people, it's like, yes, this is Michael Anderle, this is LMBPN, here's our sales. And for the most part, they're like, yeah, whatever. Wait, what is this saying? Because the sales were very high. That was the first thing that caught their attention. If your sales aren't high, very rare that you're going to get anything. And we're seeing this also with bookstores, especially independent bookstores. They don't want to take a chance on something that's going to sit up. What they have is minimal space, and every single linear inch of book space that they have in their store needs to be selling. So they don't want to put something that isn't going to do that. So you have to prove that it can. And so for myself, I have chosen not to be as ambitious in bookstore sales as perhaps others care to be. Not to name any names. Mike Bray.
He loves his new Facebook friends and wants all of them.
Yes, all of you.
He doesn't have 5,000 yet.
He's at BoucherCon. So if you happen to be at BoucherCon, look for the man with the cowboy hat and say, "Are you Mike Bray? I've heard of you." It would be hilarious to hear him ask me about that later. So and at 20 books. So he has started wearing baseball caps with Wolfpack Publishing. So I don't know if he's going to desire to go incognito and not wear his cowboy hat. We'll see. Yeah. Harass him while you can.
I'll wear my Wolfpack hat with my LMBPN shirt.
There you go.
To show my divided loyalties.
Yeah.
and a 20 books to 50K badge. A stack O badges.
I'm gonna be like one of those OG type of people back in the day with the gold chains. I'm just gonna grab all my different lanyards.
I do. I have all of them. I even have the second tier badge, which you won't get.
Okay, it's all right. I have art people, right? I could create some serious shit.
So you want to be that way, don't you? Do you? Okay. Be that way.
I'm going to go get one of those badges and make it like a foot diameter, or not diameter, but diagonal. I'll be the person with the gold chains.
I'm just going to get a hubcap.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take your badges, your stinking badges.
Oh my God. But I will wear my full badge stack. It's just one of those things. I remember air travel back in the 80s and 90s when you kept all of your bag tags on from all the different travel, and you had these stack, and then the airlines started pitching a fit. They're like, stop it, we can't sort these things. Because that was your cool way of saying, hey, look at how much travel I do, until they lose your luggage because they got no clue which one's the current one, and then it's not cool anymore.
It's not funny. We had when we took the two youngest to Europe after they graduated high school, and Judith got everybody these metal tags to slide in and put on your luggage, and they're all color coded. Someone got gold, someone purple, some blue. Well, I had this thing on for like a year and a half, and we went around the world. Well, the sucker got bent, and all of a sudden I sliced my finger because of it. And I'm like, maybe metal is not the smartest thing to allow this Anderle to have. So I had purchased some Marvel book or boxes to give away to fans and stuff. and inside one of them was Deadpool, and these little kind of cartoonish Deadpools that you put on your suitcase, and I'm like, oh, and it's kind of made of rubber, so I'm like, yeah, that's mine. No one's gonna have a rubber Deadpool on their suitcase.
Yeah. Oh goodness. So, an outstanding conversation regarding Backlist. Somebody asked a question: how do you point people to your Backlist? Michael's saying is nothing sells the series like the latest book.
I thought it was you.
So,
one of us.
I say nothing sells the last book like the next book. You modified that and says nothing sells the series like the latest book.
Yeah, nothing sells the first book like the latest book, in my opinion, because what happens is your latest book, your fans who are reading bump it up in the ranks. People go, why is book 10 number 1 in this genre? This doesn't make sense. Let me go back to book 1 and start this. So that's what I've seen.
Yep, and that's my recent book 7. I mean that climbed way up the charts. I was pretty pleased with how that launched and was received. I'll always have some way for the fans when they finish your book to find your other books. So I have my website immediately after the end, and then I have a list of my series because I was listing my books. But then when you're publishing a book a month, you hate going back to all your other books and changing the files every month. So with over 100 titles, I don't want to do that anymore.
So but that brings up an interesting thing. In the beginning, one of the ways I would try to figure out how to do something is I'd go look at somebody else's book that I at least respected enough to go do it. Take a look at some of our books. If you respect Michael Anderle, if you respect Craig Martelle, if you respect insert author here, go look at their book and see what's going on. Go look at their title page, go look at their about page, go look at their thank you page, look at if they do author notes, how to find me, how to sign up for my email. Go take a look and then put on your reader hat. Remember that hat that you used to wear before you started writing and realized I can't do this anymore. Go put your reader hat on and go, wow, does this engage me? And if it doesn't, maybe choose a different author. Go find someone else's until it engages you, and then say, okay, now ask the next most important question: why did it engage me? Was it color? Was it layout? Was it white space? Which is really important to help draw the eye and go down. Is it clean? Is it dirty? What is it? And ask those questions, and then go back and go through it. I don't think that there's any sort of confirmed way that you must do anything. And I think that we often have best practice, which often comes out of the SEO and internet marketing area. I mean, those of us who knew about it when we created our author pages, we tended to take a lot of thoughts from them. Another good group to look at is romance. Those ladies are always on the top of something going forward.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Michael, because I just throw the stuff in there, and I've copy and pasted enough over the years that mine might be a little bit disconnected. I probably should have a graphic artist look at everything after the end. I always use the end in my books. That's just me. And so everything after from that point to the very last page, I should have a graphic artist look and say, what can I do better? And see. Have a designer. So I will be looking for somebody to do that for me, and this might be a paying gig.
We have a don't pimp your services on the book or the Facebook, but inside the video.
But inside the video, somebody who's really, really good at and have a good CV. Yeah, shoot me a note. It will be a paying gig. I want to improve. I want to take that and make it something that is eye-poppingly, shockingly, outrageously successful.
Would you suggest people use something like Vellum or anything else to start getting congruent? Their branding being the same across the books?
I have. I don't do my own formatting, but I have a formatter who uses Vellum, and Michael's stuff published with LMBPN is through Vellum. I do maintain that consistency of how to do chapter breaks, of how to do some of the stuff, but Vellum lets you do some things, and it doesn't let you do other things that require workarounds. So this is where.
What are some free ways, Craig? Do you know?
Three ways. Word. I publish in Word,
digital?
and it's very, very close to the vellum files without the sexy little scene breaks and chapter headings. But I've never had a problem with readers, and you never hear from readers who say I didn't pick up your book because that chapter heading wasn't sexy enough. But I'm sure they're there. So
yeah,
everything you can do, because you think like one reader here, one reader there is no big deal until you're selling 10,000 books. And it's like, hey, 1% of 10,000 is a big number. And it's the number you aspired to when you first started writing. So free ways.
the Draft to Digital has one. You can
Draft to
go on
Digital,
there.
absolutely. And I've used that as well, because you just pick it. They've got a few different styles. And Draft to Digital, that's one of their huge free services for indies that they provide, because you don't have to publish with them and you still get the full benefit of their formatting service for your book, whether it's ebook or paperback.
And what about some others? Can we think of others that are there? I don't
Publish
happen to
Drive
know
do
of them.
something?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they do or not. Who else? You know what? I don't know. If somebody mentions it, that'd be great.
Yeah, drop
And
it in the comments besides Draft to Digital and your own formatting, because I used Word. I had somebody format one and then copy it back to Word for me, and so I used that as a template. So I was close to a vellum formatted file just using Word. And you can do everything in Word, but it just takes some extra geeky stuff to make it work, and it doesn't always do pictures very well for Word. They could you move them like a quarter of an inch and it jumps up 3 pages. Those are the kinds of things.
hope that people can still see me there. What the hell?
Where'd Michael go?
Where'd you go? Hello.
There you are. Okay. Did you hit the wrong button?
I didn't touch anything. This is you. This is you and your Alaska issues.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say was, you can buy, or you can basically buy an old Apple laptop. You can do something 5 years ago. It doesn't matter. Vellum doesn't take a lot of resources, and Apples are usually good for 5 to 7 years. Usually, hashtag. My keyboard on my really expensive Mac Pro, which I bought like November, December of just last year, is frying again. So not terribly pleased with this keyboard, Apple, just saying. And the other way is that you can actually rent a virtual Apple, presuming that that's still out there, where on the web you can, you'll bring it up in a browser or whatever they have, and then you can install Vellum there, and then they just host an Apple for you. And you have some options. And of course, one of the ways we did it for a while is we just outsourced it. We didn't have the software or even know how to freaking do it, so we just outsourced it, and finally we brought it in-house.
I tell you what, I've got this Surface Pro laptop that has worked flawlessly ever since I got it.
It doesn't run
you should
Mac
think
OS.
about one of those. You should.
I should. And for the people who don't know, he's got mine.
Duly paid for.
Oh, yeah. No, I wasn't trying to suggest that. I was just suggesting you didn't freaking upgrade yourself, you hoser. You weren't willing to do it, even though your old Surface 3 was probably sitting there in the grave going, just let me die already.
Surface 4, it was a 4. It's still there. But
for the world.
The Surface Pro laptop, this thing is a champion, because you can pop the tablet off and use it just as a tablet, which I don't do because there's a second battery in the keyboard section of it, so it lasts. I've gotten 10 hours out of the laptop version. The Surface Pro 4 is good for like 10 hours as well, which is really what I wanted, because when you can route me out of Alaska, the travel takes a long time. Going to Vegas, Michael, if he started driving now and I started flying now, would get there 5 hours before I got there.
But you would have a lot of stuff done in your latest book.
I would. I got 10,000 words written on my last trip to Vegas. So it was an incredibly productive trip because of a Microsoft laptop that lasted 10 hours.
Which was more expensive, I might add, than a suitably equipped Apple at the time when I bought it.
That's cool. That's cool. I like it. It does everything I need. But and it stores all of my backlist.
The way you make a backlist.
Yeah.
So some of the other things. Go ahead.
And so updating your back matter. Somebody asked a question about you can have somebody else. It's a one-stop shopping. I don't know, because that's control over your KDP account for uploading new files, and I'm not so keen on handing that over. So it would have to be me. It would have to be me updating my 60 or so publications, and then I would have to pimp Michael and say, hey, oh, by the way, I changed my back matter. Have fun. For the 50 some publications I've got with Michael, and we're trying to.
Oh, I'm not going to have fun.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. So I know what Michael has gone to, and he went to, I think about 2 years ago, was here's my website if you want to see my other books, and here's my audio stuff. And so it was just lmbpn.com. There you are. Bob's your uncle. And then you only have one place to update.
Yeah, actually, Steve did that, and I've spoken to both Steve Campbell and Lynn Stigler, who handle operations and editing, and so they are both open for people to ask them questions at 20 Books if you see them.
Good.
So they're available. They're
Lynn
willing.
Lynn will be at the check-in desk. That's where she'll be hanging her hat for the majority of the time, editing some of my stuff. So don't bother if she looks like she's editing, because it'll be my stuff. If it's anybody else's stuff, that's okay. You can bother, but not my stuff. And Steve Campbell will be walking around. He has been doing the audio and the ops for Michael for pretty much the entire time. But Steve is up on audio. That's his thing. He's been doing it for 3 years now.
Yeah, 3 out of 4. Yeah, 3 out of 4, I would say.
Well, you did it yourself for the first year, and I think that's also important. Anything you do as an indie, instead of saying, well, I just can't do this, let me outsource it. I think you need to know what you're doing first before you outsource anything, so you know exactly how to get the most from the person who's working for you. If you don't know how to advertise and you outsource that, you're going to lose a lot of money before your stuff takes off. Hopefully, or you're just going to lose a lot of money.
No. Well,
probably.
I was going to say, hashtag probably going to lose stuff, and hopefully you might find someone who knows what they're doing. But it is very difficult. I knew advertising before I started LMBPN, which is one of the reasons I made some of the decisions I did. And it wasn't until early this year, last year, late somewhere, relatively recently, like 6-7 months ago, that we hired an outside person to handle the advertising and take it off of my shoulders. I was doing it randomly horribly. Just there you go.
Yeah, I've got help now as well, in addition to access to Michael's guy, and it is making a difference, making a huge difference. I mean, I'm spending a lot more money, but sales are nice, and even my baseline is higher on all my stuff, and I'm publishing a lot less nowadays. So just a personal choice. So adding to my I've got the backlist. I don't need to add to it. The only titles I want to add to my backlist are successful titles now. So my next book, I want that Super Dreadnought 6 will hit in a week. And that one, good book, really good book. Thanks, Julia, for your hard work on it. And it'll wrap that series. So we'll energize the whole series with that one. But that one's done. Now that's off my plate. And the other ones we'll keep working through until we finish all of the series but one. And Judge, Jury, and Executioner will continue. And I'll keep adding to that because that's my favorite series. That one's indefinite, no end sight, because each one is a self-contained story. It's like Boston Legal, right? You just pick that legal thing and you keep going.
Is that beeping saying you're about to die? Just curious.
No, actually, kind of. That's my heart monitor thing. So you could hear that. Cool. That's my heart monitor say, I'm running out of juice. Please recharge me. And I'll rip it off here momentarily and plug it in and then go take a shower and get ready for the rest of my life.
All right.
Which hopefully will be much, much longer than the rest of the day.
Better be.
So but adding to my backlist at this point is now going to be very measured, shall we say. Not almost done away completely with collaborators and collaborations, just because my readership that I built likes my books, and so I'm trying to keep that insular as it may be. And also certain things I'm trying to accomplish with my personal goal of one book that will sell 100,000 copies. So maybe that'll be Fratricide on the rewrite and the standalone. And I do need to talk to Amazon about how we do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because how do we keep 2 copies of one book available, one being a complete standalone of the same book that's number 6 in a series. There's
So
got to be
go ahead. There's
got to be a way to do it. Yeah.
If you have a friend that's going to 20 books and you're not, and you have a question, send your question with your friend to go ask the people. We will have what I think is probably the premier lineup of industry representation at this event. If it's Amazon, if it's Google, if it's Kobo, if it's Podium, if just a Publishers Weekly, if it's any of the normal really supportive groups out there, Book Funnel. Everybody that's there that is going to be a part of it, bring the questions there to them. When Amazon figured out how many people wanted to talk to them, they had to sit back and figure out how are we going to handle this. So please bring your questions. Please, engage with all of them. If you're heading toward the publisher side, reach out to me sometime. I'll let you know who I think would be good to talk to, and we'll go from there.
In case Mike Bray is busy.
Actually, just ask his ass anything. What's the price of tea in China? How deep is the lake? How do I become a world famous Western writer?
He's going to be hating on you after this episode. Not me.
I hope so. After what he did to me at the Western Writers Convention.
Oh, geez, yeah, that and me. But not anywhere near as much as you. I had something in mind, but lost it. Oh, Vegas, the industry representative. We're going to introduce them. The head person from each one. I still need to confirm from Amazon that corporate rules. They can't be on stage with other corporations. That's reserved for Tim Cook Tim Cook, Jeff Bezos, and his team. The senior leaders. So it's just a corporate rule. It's nothing good or bad. It just is. But hopefully we can give them a shout out so they can wave their hands so you can see who they are. But you'll also get to meet them at the meet and greet where we have like 400 people signed up. So we're going to hook them up with hopefully another hour and a half of or 2 hours of space and time somewhere, working with Michael on that because he has a space, but can we get the time? So anyway, we'll try to make that.
I got my note
that work.
It's not, but we'll see.
But we'll have the industry reps up on stage so you can at least see their faces, and we're doing that right up front. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, go. You'll see them. Hey, I've got a question for Will of Find Away Voices, and then you go ask and get your answer and move on.
If you're not there, watch the video. You can still glean a lot of information. Find out who these people are because you will want to know.
Yeah, I'm going to give them each like 1 to 2 minutes to pimp their ride. Hey, what do you provide for indies so they can make their pitch, and then we'll follow up with some of the maybe we have some questions, and we'll try to fill our 45 minutes with the industry pros before turning them loose for I think like a 2-hour lunch on that first day, because I figured they'd get mobbed. So people, hey, let me ask my question right away before I disappear and run to all these sessions and maybe not see them again. With 1,100 people at the show, you may not see people ever.
Even though they're there.
Like, hey, man, I thought you were coming to the show. I was at the show. I was at the show, too. I never saw you. We'll see that. We're going to hear that on Friday. Like, where the hell were you? I was at the show. Yeah.
So, and then I have to confirm with Judith what's going on, but the plan at the moment is to actually get a little bit larger space for my own and have Coke and popcorn and do it at the theater.
That's close. We're not confirmed on that yet?
It's close. I've got to find out from Judith where we are on the confirmation of that.
Okay. Because that's we still have Pioneer for you just in case.
Okay.
And Pioneer only hold 150, and I think you've got 270 signed up at last time I looked.
I think I can either go 300 or 500 maybe. So 300, we need at least 300, and then I'll look at seeing if there's a bigger theater that they have.
Okay. I think 300 will be good because not all 270 will show up because of the 10 p.m. thing. Yeah, a lot of people checked it, but then after a full day, and that's the second day, 2 full days of conferencing, Some people are just going to be out of gas and
Yeah.
pass
So you're
out.
like, oh, no, sure.
I'm not doing 10 o'clock. I'm exhausted. And that's it. So, yeah. Same thing with my 6 a.m. I've got a couple hundred people signed up, but I don't expect people will be alive at 6 unless they blow you off, and then they'll come to my thing.
That's okay. We'll see. Anything else? I think it's time to go and let you go get your heart monitor on a
I
plug.
think we're good, because coffee is empty in my Taft Law School mug, because coffee is empty. We need to refill it. All right. Hey, thank you, everybody, for listening in.
Thank you, everyone.
I think we got most of your questions. If not, we'll dive through, maybe answer them on in 20 books. You guys have a great one, and see you in a week, maybe.
Take care.
And broadcast, still ending the broadcast.